Blog Talk Radio.
Once again, it is time for the Go Pro Fantasy Show. I am your host, the Fantasy Geek, keeping the perfect playoff dream alive. I'm in 8 fantasy football leagues. Yes, 8. It is way too many, I know. But I still have a shot to make the postseason in all 8. One of them is an extreme long shot, and it happens to be one of my 2 PFFL franchises. My Tier 3 team, uncreatively named the Fantasy Geek, fell to 6-6 after getting eaten up by the Pacific Jewfish. I think I caught a Jewfish the other day when I went deep sea fishing. Not really. Now I need to win out in that league and have the Jewfish lose both their remaining games. Not likely, but I've seen much stranger things happen in fantasy football, and even if I don't make it in that league, my Tier 2 team is looking good, plus looking good in all the other 6 leagues. So it will be an active postseason for the Fantasy Geek. Okay, enough about me. We do not have an interview scheduled for today, but that's okay. I actually want to take this time to clear up some confusion about the PFFL postseason. Last week I asked Kyle and Broseph how the wild card was decided, and they guessed it went to power rankings. I've also heard other people mention that power rankings are involved. Well, you probably want something more concrete than that. So I found the info on the PFFL site. It hasn't been updated this year, but I have to assume what's up there is what will hold true. So I will now read that rule to you as it reads on the PFFL site. Seeding. The winner of each division will make the playoffs along with 1 wild card. So you have 3 division winners, 1 wild card. You win your division by having the best record in that division, and the wild card is given to the team with the best record who does not win their division. The team with the best overall record will be the number 1 seed and will play the wild card winner, who is the number 4 seed. The other 2 division winners will play each other. Beyond that, we will rank everyone 5 through 12, and we'll follow the same format for silver and bronze playoffs. Everybody plays a full 16-week schedule. So even if you're out of the playoffs, there's something to play for. I believe there's a 2-week scoring title if you happen to score the most points in the 2 weeks of the playoffs. If you're not in the playoffs, you get a monetary prize. So it is worth your while to set your lineup. Now, tiebreakers. For complete tiebreaker rules, they're saying to go to Yahoo, but that was last year. The site, as you know, is on its own this year and has really grown by leaps and bounds. So I'm not sure what's going on with the tiebreaker rules, but if it does hold true that what's here in print is current, then basically for the division winners it will go by record, and then division winning percentage and total points. And for the wild card, it will go by record and then by total points. So it does not say power rankings. Additional tiebreakers will go by week 15 score, then week 13, etc. There's no consideration for head-to-head. So there you have it. That's the playoff rules as they stand now. If you're vying to win a division title, make sure you're winning those all-important division games. And if you're hunting down a wild card, score as many points as possible. I've got a quick bitch corner for you if you'll indulge me. I'm not a fan of divisions in fantasy football. Yes, they make the experience more like real football, but they also add a ton of luck to the equation in a fantasy sport in which luck already runs rampant. So looking at the PFFL leagues, take the Tier 2 Orange League, for example. The league's two best teams, both 9-3, are in the same division. So if the standings hold and those two teams win out, they'll have to play each other in the first round. Instead of playing a weaker division leader that is hovering a little bit closer to 500, 7-5 or something like that right now, them's the breaks, I guess, but taking divisions out would certainly add more fairness to the game. So I commission a league that is not in the PFFL, and it's just 12 teams straight up, and the standings are 1-12, and if you are in the top 6, you make it, and if you're not, you don't. And I think that's a better way to run things. But just my personal opinion. Now let's see what happened on the PFFL scoreboard for Tier 1 in Week 12. Now that the buys are over, we saw some big-time scoring for a change, led by none other than the Seattle Seahawks, 119 points. They took it out on the Renton Rain Dogs, who had 71 points. No Gronk, no problem for the Seahawks. Look who finally found an RB2. Hank plugged in Bryce Brown and ran away with this one. The Rain Dogs, who got a big fat 0 from Pierre Thomas, seem content to play out the string with the guys that they have. Tier 1 Imports scored 114, leaving Mr. Miyagi's Dojo in the dust with 67. RG3 got the Tier 1 Imports off to a great start on Thanksgiving, and he's thankful for that. And Collins' trio of tailbacks were all in the teens to deliver a death blow to Miyagi, who got no double-digit performances outside of Tom Brady. Jurassic Pork, 105, Germaniacs 90. The other white meat put a dent in the Germaniacs' playoff pursuit thanks to a monster game from Dez. The Germs had a solid week led by Romo, but a single point from Freddie Jackson did them in. Confused Octopi, 101, Team Kizzle 67. The Octopi had a moment of clarity when they inserted Cecil Shorts and Andre Brown into their lineup. Kizzle continued their downward spiral despite good showings from Wayne Gresham and Connor Barth. Insanityscape had 88 points, while Teddy KGB came in with just 50. This was your upset of the week. Matt Stafford was throwing all over the once-vaunted Texans defense, and Chris Gibbons giveth Insanity a nice 17 points. Teddy got duds from Rodgers, Stewart, and Austin, but was quick to pick up no Sean Marino right before kickoff. Quick plug, Adam discusses the Broncos running back situation more in this week's Perception versus Reality column at the-pffl.com. Should be posted in the next day or so. And then our final game here, Illegal Touching, 83, Daewoo Lano 74 was the comeback of the week. Needing a 29 spot out of Cam Newton on Monday night, Illegal Touching actually got 37 from him to upend Daewoo, who got zilch out of Mike Wallace, and that's going to leave a mark. All right, so you've heard the scores. Now let's see how they impact the Tier 1 Top 12 poll for Week 12. We'll use this segment to discuss everyone's playoff situation where applicable. Nice to see the bottom 3 teams all win to throw a wrench through the playoff picture.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Yes, well, they'll be here in some leagues as early as Week 14. And actually, one league I'm in, they start in Week 13, but for the PFFL, they will start in Week 15. But so here's how everybody's lining up heading into Week 13. Team Kizzle coming in at number 12. That's quite a demotion. They're 4-8. Well, at least they'll always have last year's Tier 1 postseason to look back on. Status, eliminated. Number 11, Mr. Miyagi's Dojo, 3-8-1. An applicable quote from the All Valley Under 18 tournament from the Karate Kid. Get him a body bag. Yeah. Status eliminated. Number 10, Insanity Escape. 4, 7, and 1. You sure crumbled Teddy's Oreos. Status eliminated. Number 9, Illegal Touching. 4 and 8. Nice job playing the spoiler, but status, you guessed it, eliminated. Number 8, Renton Rain Dogs. 5 and 7. That can of whoop ass that you were going to open up imploded and flew right back in your face. Thus, status eliminated. Number 7, Jurassic Pork. 4 and 8. The roster that everybody wants with a record that just doesn't add up. Status also eliminated. Number 6, Seattle Seahawks. 7 and 5. Status in first place in Division 3 with a huge game versus Daewoo coming up in Week 14. Number 5, Germaniacs. 6 and 6. You're the team that no contender wants to play down the stretch, but regardless, your status eliminated. Number 4, Daewoo Lanos. Status second place in Division 3. Basically, you need to bring it in that Week 15 game against the Seahawks, which should be do or die. Number 3, Teddy KGB. 9 and 3. Status first place in Division 2. Clinched the division and is just playing for a seat at this point. So congratulations to Adam. And now, a little early, we got a little drum roll for you. Your number 1 team is actually 2 number 1 teams. We have a tie atop the standings. Yes, I recounted the votes. Coming in, tied for first, is Tier 1 Imports at 9 and 3. Status second place in Division 1, one more win, and you're in as at least as a wild card. And the second number 1 team, also tied, is Confused Octopi. Their status is first place in Division 1, but it's really close. And same deal as the Imports. An interesting head-to-head matchup with these two lurks in Week 14. So Week 14 looks to be a very decisive week on the schedule. So you'll have a lot of teams, two big matchups that will have a big impact on the seeds and who makes it and who doesn't. So Week 13 matters, but I think that these matchups will still be all important in Week 14. Okay, time for You Blew It, where we take a look at all the worst calls from Tier 1 owners made that the Tier 1 owners made this week. There are only 2 cases so far this week. Give me a second here for a quick drink of water. All right, we're back. First up is the Renton Rain Dogs. They lost LaShawn McCoy to a concussion, but didn't bid enough to grab his replacement, Bryce Brown. You know who did? Your Week 12 opponent. So that adds some insult to injury. Renton Rain Dogs, you blew it. I'm on a call. Sorry, someone knocked on my door. I do this at work. So that threw me off. Let me see. Where's the you blew it take? Can't find it. All right. We are going to get bogus.
Bogus.
There you go. All right. Teddy KGB, you're up next. You may have clinched a playoff spot, but no one is immune from the You Blew It section. You were proud to pick up Beanie Wells a couple weeks ago, but you kept him benched in what was easily his best matchup the rest of the season as he goes up against some very brutal defenses down the stretch. He scored twice on your bench, while John Stewart netted you just 2 points in your starting lineup. Teddy KGB.
Someone's a bigger idiot than me.
You get a little George Costanza. No one's a bigger idiot than me. All right, so from the embarrassing to the heroic, we've got the all-work team. Leading it off is your quarterback, Cam Newton, 37 points. Finally, worthy of that Superman gesture he does after scoring 1-yard touchdowns that just about anybody could score on. a little bit ridiculous, especially when they are losing by double digits. All right, running back, Bryce Brown. Yeah, if you did tune in to Monday Night Football, which was quite the snoozer matchup last night, you saw Bryce Brown just running all over the Carolina defense. LeSean Hu, Bryce Brown's been an instant stud for whoever was able to acquire him, at least for 1 week anyway. We'll see what happens going forward. Running back number 2 is Arian Foster, 23 points. Overtimes have really treated Foster well of late. He's got to play 10 quarters just about over the last 2 weeks as opposed to 8. Wide receiver Des Bryant. This turkey had quite a Thanksgiving, and he ended up taking all of Miles Austin's extra points that he missed due to his injury. Second wide receiver, Julio Jones. Just when you think he's fallen off the cliff, he pops back up with a game like this and scores 20 for you. Tight end, Charles Clay, had 14 points, and not even anyone in my 32-team league had Charles Clay active. So out of relevant tight ends, the top guy was Dustin Keller, but even still, probably nobody had him active either. Your kicker was Rob Aronis, hit 4 field goals. The Titans' red zone ineptitude is Baronis' gain. So that is your all-work team. Now it's time to see who made fantasy owners pull their hair out with the all-jerk team.
Well, the jerk store called, and they're running out of you.
Yes, on sale this week at the jerk store is quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Even the greats have their off days. In the discount bin, you can find running back Rashard Mendenhall, -1 point, and -2 spots on the Pittsburgh running back depth chart. Ouch. Another running back, Ronnie Hillman, 0 points. Yeah, the assumption that he was going to get the starting gig didn't quite work out so well, huh? Wide receiver, Mike Wallace, 0. No quarterback equals no stats. Just ask Larry Fitzgerald. Wide receiver number 2, Brandon Lloyd, again, 2 points, and now he finds himself getting bumped in favor of Julian Edelman, who is now seeing more snaps. So it seems like Belichick is getting a bit sick of Brandon Lloyd's disappearing act. Tight end, Vernon Davis, with a 0. So much for Colin Kaepernick bringing Davis back to fantasy relevance, at least not this week. And your kicker, Sean Swisham. No Steeler was safe from the Week 12 carnage that happened in Cleveland. All right. Are you desperate for a savior in the final weeks? Well, listen up, because here comes Inked and Axed. Quarterback to ink and add to your team if you're desperate, and depending on the matchups this week, I think he happens to have a pretty plush matchup, is dangling Chad Henne. You know, he's not half bad, and he's got some good weapons down there in Jacksonville. Big upgrade over Blaine Gabbert. Your first running back, well, what do you know? Sean Moreno. Can we get a do-over with this one? Second running back, no longer deactivated D'Angelo Williams. Just hope that he can do better than the 2 yards per carry he had on Monday Night Football now that he may have the starting gig for a little while. Wide receiver Ryan Broyles Chicken. He's basically going to give you what Titus Young should have been giving you but wasn't. Second wide receiver, Mohamed Sanu. He's a nice red zone target for Andy Dalton these days, with all the attention going to A.J. Green. Tight end, Mercedes S-Class Lewis. Henne at quarterback revitalizes his value. So, to make room on your roster, here are some guys you can feel free to give the axe to. Rashard on the Mendenhall, enough is enough. You probably want to avoid the Pittsburgh running back situation altogether. I have felt that pain. I have lived that pain. I don't know how I'm going to recover. I've got some gaping holes at running back in certain lineups based on me surrounding the Pittsburgh running back situation, hoping that one guy would take it and run with it, which clearly has not happened. The latest is that I read, and I'm not sure how accurate this is, and how accurate it will be going into Sunday, but I read that Mendenhall has been demoted, and right now Jonathan Dwyer is atop the depth chart. So if you've got guts of steel and you feel like you want to roll a Steelers running back out there, Dwyer might be the guy, but don't hold me responsible. All right, another guy you can get rid of now is LaRod Stevens Howling, Part 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. Remember that old movie? That's a gem. He's behind Beanie Wells once again, now that Wells is healthy. Not sure how long that'll last, but it looks like Stevens Howling's best days are behind him. And then finally, Ronnie Over the Hillman. Oops. Yeah, everybody rushed out to pick up Hillman and ignored Noshawn Moreno, and that came back to bite us. I did grab Hillman and not too happy about it. All right, on to bumps, bruises, strains, and sprains. You saw Miles Austin get hurt on Thanksgiving, hurt his hip. Not sure what his status is going forward, but he did get the extra few days to rest it. So we'll see what happens going into Week 13. Antonio Brown will not be playing in Week 13 or any week the rest of the season. He has a broken leg. So David Martin becomes somewhat interesting. Jalen Parmalee hurt his groin, which is too bad because he had started to look good in Maurice Jones-Drew's absence. But he got hurt. Rashad Jennings actually got a touchdown and might be worth a look if you're desperate this week if Parmalee is out. Matt Forte sprained his ankle, another injury for Forte. So pretty sure that Michael Bush is going to be owned in just about every league, but if he's not, be sure to grab him. He is probably the number one waiver wire pickup of the week, but again, his ownership percentage is extremely high. Jonathan Stewart, I mentioned earlier that D'Angelo Williams is now someone to take a look at. Stewart has an high ankle sprain coming out of Monday Night Football, so Williams should get most of the totes now in Carolina for the foreseeable future. All right, 2-minute drill. Some interesting things happened from Week 12. I just wanted to call them out. Ndongakong Suh kicks Matt Schaub in the Jimmy. The replay suggested that the kick was intentional. What a dick. Sprinklers go off in the middle of the game in Miami. I'd like to see what would happen if that happened in a cold weather climate like in Cleveland, and then it would have been interesting. In Miami, it was probably refreshing. Speaking of weather, where are all the bad weather games? It's almost December, and I haven't seen a single flake of snow. There's been some rain, but not really anything that would influence fantasy players' performances. When the weather is bad, though, I do head over to NFLweather.com. I've been in touch with the guy who runs it, Rick, over there, and he's a very nice guy. He's hooked me up with some content from my blogs, and they do a great job breaking down the impact of the conditions for the teams and players. So that's NFLweather.com if it does happen to get bad in the next few weeks. Okay, the mailing it in team of the week is, well, the Eagles are runners-up for somehow pulling off 3 consecutive offside penalties on defense. That was, I've never seen that before. But the award does go to the Chargers for, of course, letting Ray Rice cruise to a first down on a game-turning 4th and 29 play. What a soulless team. Just when you think the NFL has gotten its shit together, you see a rule that pops up that makes absolutely no sense. Everybody saw this one on Thanksgiving, allowing a touchdown to stand on a play that Justin Forsett was clearly down on just because the coach threw a challenge flag when the play was going to be challenged anyway is absurd. They should have still reviewed the play, but it would have been great to see the refs pick up Jim Schwartz's red flag and fire it back at him. You know, you always see those coaches when they're pissed off that they have to make a challenge, they throw the flag onto the field with so much bravado. Well, when they F up, it'd be nice to see the refs kind of mimic them and give it back to them. Yeah, Schwartz is pretty much a dope for tossing out the flag because he should have known that the play was going to be reviewed no matter what. But it shouldn't really change the outcome of the game. The Rules Committee won't have to spend more than 5 minutes changing this rule in the off season. Okay, let's run out the clock with a few recommendations. Get more fantasy takes from the crew over at the-pffl.com. Follow us at Twitter at _PFFL, and favorite the GoPro Fantasy Show on Blog Talk Radio. We'll be back next week when your playoff picture should get a little bit clearer. Until then, kick some ass in Week 13. Geek out.